calling this meeting to order. It is March 22nd, 2022. If you all could rise, oh no, I have to do the roll call first. Excuse me. First would be Mayor Pro Tem Villalobos.
Here.
Council Member Bunker.
Here.
Council Member, place 3 is still vacant. Council Member McLeod.
Here.
Council Member Clinton.
Here.
And I am Mayor Glaze. If you could all stand for the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And then to the Texas flag.
I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And then if you would remain standing for the invocation, please. Dear precious Heavenly Father, we just are here to help rule this city. And we just thank you, Lord, for giving us the privilege of doing so. And we ask for your guidance in every decision and everything that we say and do here. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we are having a public hearing on 3 different properties tonight. So we do have one public comment that doesn't pertain to those properties. And if there are any other public comments that are not related to the 3 properties, we would be happy to give you also 3 minutes. So the public comment that's been given to me is by Latrice Cook, and you will have 3 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is Latrice Cook. I'm the Executive Director and Founder for Milch Center. I come tonight because I'm requesting that this issue obviously needs to be put on the agenda. And on June 23rd, 2021, a day prior had been solicited to provide a payment for a resident whose utilities were disconnected, and was told by the city employee, I didn't know the person's name or anything like that, that they needed assistance and that the city had no resources to help this person. This person was a veteran. Utilities were off. They were in, a dire straight situation. I have since found out that the city had a pot that they had designated for persons who were in kind of a distressed situation. I've made boundless, as well as my staff, calls to Jared several times. The mayor has questioned me like I was lying about something that I presented to her. Since that time, the mayor, this employee, and myself, I came here and spoke to that employee and to the mayor, and we got that rectified and was told that I would have a day that they would get this remedied and taken care of and this, that, and the third. And to date, nobody has responded to that. And I just don't understand it. I have been treated as a person, as a professional, very unprofessional by this entire body, in that nobody has been responsive to the assistance that we gave to this resident that was solicited by a city employee for us to do. And unbeknownst to us, that there was revenue that you all had in-house that could have aided this person, and instead you reached out to an organization, because I'm a community member, you reached out to an organization in Austin for it, and then questioned my integrity by asking me, was it something that you could do, like pay my personal bill or whatever for in lieu of giving us this money back. And so I'm here tonight because I don't want to pursue this in a legal way. I just felt like we could get this remedied and rectified. This is starting to be a gossip situation. I don't know how Ernest Painter found out about this, but I just want to say this out loud. I'm not a gossipy person, and I feel like this person's business, whoever this man was, who I still to this day don't know, never met, don't know who this person is. I just feel like that person's privacy needs to be protected. And I don't think that this is an issue that as elected officials, that should be gossiped about, or that it should even be a person in the community that is calling and saying that they have awareness of it. How did they
Your
know?
time is up.
Okay, I just wondered, how did they know? And so I'm asking for this to be remedied and addressed, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who has a public comment that isn't related to the public hearings, the 3 properties? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the public hearing and I'll turn it over to,
Yeah, I'll get us kicked off. So first item up on the agenda is the Emergency Services District Fire Department in Martindale. And the situation tonight, given the snafus with getting the hearing posted within a newspaper record for the city, tonight, the city council should not take any action relating to this public hearing until following city council meeting, after that time has elapsed that's required for publishing the notice. But that should not prevent us from still holding a public hearing tonight. There'll be a second opportunity to have a second public hearing and for both of these items that will be discussed tonight. And with that, I'll turn it over to our newly minted zoning administrator to discuss this project. And then once the discussion is complete with the Emergency Services District, we'll move on down the agenda.
Thank you very much. Lisa Shell Allen, and so the folders in front of you, I believe the one marked A. I personally added fire station to my folder, so it would be a little easier to understand. I've also provided each council member with the actual portion of our code titled Scenic Corridor, so that you would understand the purpose, the development standards, what's required, and what we as a council are supposed to do with an application such as this. And so in your folder, you will find a packet, and I had one large one. So for you to be able to look at, Jared, if you would like to, we had a date issue, is that correct? Where basically based on our criteria for approval. Do we have on our,
I was gonna ask that because it shows on the application that it was submitted on January 25th, and according to the 30 days, if it hasn't been approved, isn't it automatically approved? Since
If
we
the
haven't-
application's been deemed complete. And I know that the mayor is working this particular application, and I believe it was not completed until more recently than that.
so this is an opportunity for our representatives as well from the fire station to give any type of commentary, presentation. Jared's got all of the slides that you provided.
So essentially what this is in your packet, you'll see a engineered drawing map of where we're talking about. This is going to be along Highway 80. Many of you are familiar with that location. It's been advertised as a future home for the fire department for quite some time. In your packet, you have a number of elevation drawings of the proposed structure, and subject to your questions or questions from the public, we'll just get in a conversation if there's any to be had.
Mhm. And so, Bill, please,
Okay.
Bill Hamilton.
Thank you. I'm Bill Hamilton. I think I know everybody at the table here. You know, a number of people in the audience. I'm the president of ESD 3, which is the Emergency Services District for this area, Martindale and surrounding area. Basically, our district is from Old Bastrop Highway to the toll road, pretty much running on a corridor of Highway 80 down to the river and up a little bit on the other side. that. I'm here tonight along with two other of our commissioners. Mark Youngers is here and Robert Marino is here. We have a total of 5 commissioners. We have became the ESD, which is it's a political subdivision where we can raise tax money to help the emergency services in the area. We work through the Martindale Volunteer Fire Department, obviously. We were formed in 2015, and one of our goals from the very beginning was to get enough cash, get the resources we need to get a piece of land to get a building. Because the building that we're in now, we have six vehicles and we've got a 2-car garage. And so we've been in that building for almost 50 years. So it's time for another station. And so we have acquired the land out on Highway 80. We've got the preliminary design of this building. We need to do that to get financing. We're getting financing. It may seem like an unusual thing. We get financing through the USDA because rural fire departments fall under the U.S. Department of Agriculture. So we get very favorable loan rate. We're anticipating this project being about a $2 million project. We hope to get started sometime fairly soon this year. We got we passed the final hurdle as far as the financing. We had to have just preliminary designs to get us to that point for them to review and look at it. I put in the application for the scenic corridor back in January. And that was to say, okay, this is what the building is basically going to look like. We can talk about, is it a metal building? No, it's not a metal building. There's metal structure because of the bays where the trucks are parked, but the exterior of the building will not be metal. It'll either be stone and brick. And then the upper panels there that you see look like wall. It will be, hardy board or something like that. It will have a metal roof. It's about the total building. The one part on the left-hand side there, you can see where it says Caldwell County ISD is a 2-story section. That's all air-conditioned space, office space, meeting rooms. There's also sleeping rooms upstairs for firefighters. And then the rest is truck bay. It's a total of about 11,000 square feet. So moving from our 2,000 square foot little building down the street to that's going to be a big help. But a lot of the activity that we're getting in the fire department now is not so much based on our population, it's based on traffic. We have river traffic, we have road traffic, we have a lot of collisions. Fire departments generally don't have a lot of fires. It's more collisions, medical, and in our case, a river. We have over 300 calls a year for emergency services. It's pretty active for a community our size. I'd be happy to answer anything about the preliminary drawings. Also, I noticed on Zoom, there's a name, says Frank Vermillion, that's our architect. And he's available if he's able to speak.
You may want to unmute.
Well, I think if there's a question that requires him to participate, is there any questions on behalf of the council? For discussion, for discussion, yeah.
The building and everything looks fine to me. My concern is getting in and out on Highway 80 and emergencies and blocking traffic. And I'm not sure.
Yeah, there will be.
That's something that we need to worry about, but
I don't know particularly to the scenic corridor, but yes, it's a problem that, there will getting access on the highway. There will be signage, they got the little signs that there's a fire truck or you're coming up the fire station. We would have to talk with the state about if we could put a flashing light there that we could trigger when we were coming out. Be a flashing light. It wouldn't be on all the time.
Okay,
Just whenever we triggered it for a call.
Okay.
And it's
So you have talked about it.
Yeah, there's something we're doing also. We don't, at this particular time, if you look at the one that's on the screen right now, we don't have permission for that great big wide driveway in the front. They give very limited number of driveways for, businesses. We're not just a regular business because it's a fire department. We probably will have access direct out the front. We're still working on that.
And what kind of signage are you going to have?
There will be a signboard out front of some kind. I guess
Yeah.
that would be a different thing. We'd have to come for a sign permit at some point then. We actually would like, you know, an animated sign that we could talk about, the burn ban's on, there's, you know, events
Oh,
in
I
the city,
see.
that sort of thing. Gives a time and temperature, that makes it sound like a bank. But, you know, it's
Yeah,
but, you know, just an
Like-
information, community informational sign would be what we would prefer to have. There's also, you might notice it kind of stands out a little bit, there's an antenna, it's a 100-foot antenna that's gonna be next to the building because we have to be able to have radio contact to Lockhart as well as throughout the rest of our district. But right now, we have a booster antenna on top of the water tower here downtown that gets us out, but we need something out there at the station.
and there looks like there's is that a fence behind the flag there and behind the antenna?
We're anticipating having some fencing primarily for the neighbor more than for us.
Oh, I see.
Because, you know, the Orient's right next door there.
Okay.
Quick question, just for clarification, you said it'll be a metal building, but all the metal will be covered?
Yes,
It's either hardy board or stone
right.
to
There'll be,
comply with the city corridor?
yeah, there's no, the roof is metal.
Okay, but everything else will be?
Right. There'll be like when it's first started building, it's gonna look like a metal building because all of the girders have to go up because there's a clear span where those overhead doors are,
Okay,
you know, and for the truck parking. And so that will be metal frame. Everything else, like the building on the ends, the two, the small garage door that you see on the right-hand side, that'll be a stick-built building. And
Okay.
that their addition as the other side will be also be stick-built, the 2 stories for the offices. But yeah, everything will be skinned with either stone or hardy or something.
so I assume that the one wall, which is what, 6-8 feet, is gonna be stone, and then above that will be hardy board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I had a question about the outdoor lighting. We're in the process of adopting a dark sky ordinance where the lights will be pointing downward, but I know you need lighting to get in and out from the highway itself, but I am concerned about the resident next door and the type of light. I don't see any lighting on the structure.
Well, there'll be some lighting in the parking area. I don't know that we've addressed that. Certainly if there's an ordinance that would address that, you know, dark sky might be kind of tough for a fire station.
Well, it's mostly to where the lights are more so pointing downward,
Correct.
not, going up into the sky, so.
And that I would think that would work perfectly well for us. We're just trying to see on the ground, trying to see to get in and out. You know, there's going to be a significant amount of lights inside the building. And those doors in the front would be glass.
What is the driveway doing on the right side? Is it stopping there or going back towards the storage units?
That, on the very end of the property there, we see that road going back. It's actually an access road back to the storage units back in the back.
Oh, that's the road that's currently there.
Yes, that's the driveway that's currently there, yes.
Yes, okay.
And if I may jump in for just a moment, just for specifically for others who are in the meeting and then as well as on Zoom, who may not fully understand what the scenic corridor is about. I'm just going to highlight a few bits and pieces for the public as well as to remind the council. So the scenic corridor was established in order to extend along State Highway 80 within the city limits within 300 feet on either side of the right of way. The purpose was to preserve and enhance the visual quality of the 2 principal gateways leading into the city while facilitating traffic, providing for safety, motorists, pedestrians, and such. And the materials to be compatible with existing buildings and neighborhoods in order to sustain the city's unique qualities that have proven to be increasingly attractive to residences, businesses, and tourists. I know some may have a difference of opinion. I don't know if my
Yeah.
voice is being heard.
Yeah.
Okay. I jokingly say that my voice is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. So also the council has to make certain with the plans that have been provided that the application and drawings are meeting the minimum setbacks, as well as what we've mostly been talking about is in our exterior architectural features. The architectural style, design, arrangement, size, and general components of outer surfaces of the building will include similar color, texture, and style of all windows, doors, lights, roof signs, and other exterior architectural features that are basically in the area. And so I wanted to just point that out. Also, I want to point out specifically to the council that as a result of there being a mishap with the newspaper posting, the council will not be able to take action tonight. So as the city administrator has recommended that we have a hopefully very short meeting next Tuesday, and in order to be able to approve this particular item as all questions and things have been answered. The other thing I want to remind the council is that we do have the ability in 3 ways. One, we can just I'm gonna work on that. The council can just approve as is, as presented. You can approve with conditions. So Councilmember Clinton, if you have real concern about dark sky and you might like to see something that was showing that the fire department was following those guidelines, that could be in condition with the approval. There could be any particular kind of conditions and or a flat out denial. The denial would have to have real reason. It cannot be just because it's your next door neighbor and or you don't like the color. It has to be within the guidelines that I provided for each of you on under the scenic corridor. And also, just for the record, and for anyone that is on Zoom who wants to go to our website and under government, and then you click over under Code of Ordinances. Once you get there, if you were to type in 150.025, it will give you the entire document that I'm reading from, that you would also be able to read and understand more fully as to why the scenic corridor was established and what it is all about and what the council is supposed to be doing with it.
Yeah, the last point I would add, item H provides the criteria for approval, and describes whether the application, whether the proposed development activity will be detrimental effect on the historical, architectural, or cultural character. I do want to pause and see if the council has any other questions or the public has any comments, and we can probably move on to the next.
I have a question because on the diagram that I saw, there was, there's pavement that's there other than ground. And as far as like to see if there was like a study on the runoff and where it would go back into the road? I mean, like what, because there is, pavement and I understand that it has to be there, but what about, like the runoff?
And if
We have Frank on if you want to have him answer that
Okay.
as well.
And I was also just gonna, to let you know that falls within the building standards. And so when it comes time as a completely separate issue for them to begin to go through their permit process, there is a ratio of the amount of space, the amount of acreage that they have. They're only allowed to have X% of impervious cover.
Mhm.
And so in order for it to ultimately be permitted and fully approved, they will have to meet the standards. But
Yeah,
that's a
I was
very
just
good
wondering
question.
because, we're looking at the diagrams, we're doing that. I
Sure.
just thought it's important to go over and I understand everything that you're
Right.
saying, but
And we're not engineers in the sense
Yeah.
that we're gonna let the engineers deal with that part, but that's a very good question and it will certainly be addressed when that time comes.
I can.
thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
There is a percentage of impervious And I think we're within that with the design that we have.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, Frank Lemillion, our architect, has worked on that, worked towards that. There also is, and you don't see it in there, there's a retention pond that any runoff water goes
Gotcha.
into. And the retention pond is being upgraded to service this lot
Awesome.
as well.
Thank you.
Any questions from public? Council ready to move on to the next agenda item?
Yes.
Oh, I just
Just-
have
we'll
one,
just give a
quick,
second.
sorry, just one quick question. Do you know what kind of trees those are?
No idea.
Artistic rendering trees.
Nice drawing.
Bill, since everyone in this room is ardent Longhorn fan, are you gonna assure that that burnt orange car remains in place? And
Yeah, you leave it parked there, we'll.
there you go.
So as this is truly a public hearing, and just because the council is not able to take action at this moment, it does give opportunity for residents who did receive a letter giving notice that this hearing is taking place. If there is anyone who received one of those letters, is within 200 feet of this property, who has anything that they would like to speak and talk about, this is your opportunity to do so. Yes, sir, Mr. Mudd.
I have a question about.
Ashley, would you introduce yourself, please?
My name is Jack Mudd. I'm a property owner, joining the property, to the west. I have a question about is that a privacy fence, on the left-hand side of facing the property? There's a fence right on the other side of the American flag.
Put your cursor where he's
Privacy
talking.
fence, is that on the boundary line of the property next door? Is that,
That's the intention, yes.
so that's gonna be that close to that house is gonna be approximately 10 foot from that privacy fence over. So you're gonna be about 20 foot. The building,
The building setback is 20 foot on that
is that,
side.
well, no, 15 foot, right?
The easement's 15 foot. I think the building's 20 feet from the property line.
20 foot.
I
Okay.
believe so.
I was just wondering how close it was gonna be to that
And that's a good question.
house.
And that's a good question. And that particular property owner, and just for FYI, even though if I'm incorrect, please someone correct me. I do believe that the zone of Mr. Mudd's property that faces Highway 80 is commercial. Is that correct?
Is it commercial or mixed use, one or two?
It's commercial. And so the property that the fire department will be on is also commercial. And I do believe the house that fence will separate, that's the one I'm not 100% sure on, if it is mixed use or commercial. Either way, my point is this. We do have in our code of ordinances, it states whenever there is a new development or structure that abuts a different zone, there are requirements that the new development must meet in order to shield their trash cans or, their mechanical portions of their building from, say if it's residential, say if that house is in a residential R1 zone, there would be a requirement that you did have a privacy fence to protect. Yes, sir.
And from the very beginning, in respect for the next door neighbor, we said we were gonna put the fence up. We have upstairs living quarters, that would be looking down at her that will have no windows.
I
We
see.
don't want, don't want someone to think that we're looking down from up above. So that side of the building will not have windows facing.
In other words, looking over the fence.
Yeah.
We'd be looking over the fence.
And so that's good to know. That's
In
good.
respect to that. And on that side of the building, there's gonna be a picnic table, a barbecue, there's not gonna be trash cans.
Right.
Well, back to Mr. Clinton's point about the dark sky policy, because the dark sky policy will prevent light intrusion on your neighbor's property. I think that can be an issue for a lot
Sure.
of people if they got to look at a big, huge floodlight in their bedroom. So again, I think Mr. Clinton made a good point. We need to be dark sky compliant for that reason, just for your neighbor's sake.
You know, I totally agree. I think we'd be looking for the light to be in the front and the back of the
And
building.
we do have, we can send you an email showing examples of dark sky and parking lots that are dark sky, not dark sky. It's like Mr. Clinton said, it all points down. Okay,
We're trying to do this to make everybody happy. We're not trying to do it
okay,
here.
understand, just understand. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
One question I did have, is there something that wasn't in my application? Where it was not completed, you brought up earlier?
Yeah, so, on the date that he turned in his application, it was on the 25th, and, if I'm not mistaken, it's 30 days, and if we didn't move on it within the 30 days, then it's automatically approved. So whenever I had said that, you kind of like were,
Well, I'm not concerned about,
yeah.
you know, it has to be approved because the 30 days have passed. Is there something we don't have in our application?
No.
I feel
think
like
it
it's
was
complete. We've dug and dug through and definitely, and so it will,
Okay.
We're with you.
We did wait 1 or 2 days for the check,
Uh-huh,
and then it was sent
Oh, I
to,
understand. But is there something? we
On the
need to do?
27th.
perfect.
And this is for everyone. It's not just for one people.
Totally agree.
27th of January.
so we appreciate that. We will, and we'll have to mark it on our calendars next.
Like, I just want to ask, because he was said that, it was on the 27th of January, it's a 30 days. I mean, are we going to still need to vote on it if it's been the 30 days?
It's my opinion, Mr. Wymore, our city attorney, can weigh in on this, or the fact that on our agenda, we do not have action to be taken. It is basically discussion only, because it was not published in the newspaper as per local government, not just our code, but by state requirements, that I kind of referred to this
Is
as.
it or is it not automatically approved?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be up to our legal,
When was the application complete?
On the 27th
I'll have to look at it.
of January, 27th.
All right, are we ready to move on to the next agenda item? All right, the next agenda item is regarding okay. Yeah. The next agenda item is related to the food truck courtyard that is proposed for along Highway 80. And this is a engineering drawing of that was submitted with the application. This application has been in process for well over a year. And at varying degrees of completion. And
this is my file on that one,
yeah,
if that gives any indication.
so I'd have to go back and look at the exact date that it was approved, but we met with the landowner, the property owner, who intends to develop on this location in February, end of February, to resolve any other unknowns and to conclude our review of his application. So we're pretty, to your point, Sonia, we're pretty close, I think, on this one to that 30 days. I'm not sure if we're past it or close to passing it, but it's close.
And I mean, like, the reason why I'm saying is like, if it's already like, if it's completed and it's something that, that we could just do,
Dispense with.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
That-
not waste more time.
Yeah, we'll look at that. For this one, I followed the similar process to the one prior. We sent out letters to nearby property owners and published in the paper. But again, this one, there's no action to be taken tonight. The nature of the proposed development is to host a basically what I would refer to as a food truck courtyard with between 1 and 4 food trucks with a beverage station in the middle designed like a silo with portable toilets, and wastewater would be carried off-site and disposed of at some appropriate commissary that would take that water.
Is it possible for you to zoom in that a little bit, just because I can't see anything?
Thank you for asking.
No, I was just curious. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
You mentioned wastewater. What about the water coming from the food trucks?
The wastewater that's the wastewater that they create. Yeah, they would carry that off-site.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That includes gray water, also gray and black together.
No, the black water as like what would go typically down a sewer system would be disposed of through porta potties. Those facilities are.
Gray water be hauled out.
Do you have any, does council have any other?
Mr. Garcia is here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to hear from, I would love for Mr. Garcia to, if you would stand up and introduce yourself for the record, as well as,
First of all, thank you for coming. My name is Mark Garcia. And the last meeting I had in February, my understanding was that it was already approved. That I presented all the paperwork and you said that at this point, the application is approved. So this meeting, my understanding was for vote, yes or no. You know, I mean, it's, like I said, it's been over a year. Like the lady before me, there has been a lot of miscommunication, lack of communication, lack of guidance. You know, I'm a combat veteran trying to open up a hot dog stand. I'm a disabled vet. How hard is it to fight for your country and then come home and be, you know, railroaded by a simple food truck? You know, I'm just trying to sell food, you know, and I've submitted all the paperwork. Like I said, gray water is going to be hauled off by a company that I'm working with out of the city of Buda, who has food trucks, downtown Buda. They have a vendor that goes and takes all the gray water off site. I'm gonna have porta potties and, you know, tables, whatnot. But that's all it is. It's a food court. If I have any other questions I can answer?
I had a question about the future entrance on 80, because right where you have it proposed, there's also the entrance to the subdivision across the street. But one thing that I have noticed today when I was there is that along your land, as it abuts 80, there is more of a slope there. The land that you have on Northwest Road is more level, so there appears to be a little bit of a slope. So I don't know how much drainage you get off the road, but have you reached out to TxDOT yet about getting an entrance?
I haven't gotten a
onto the
response
highway?
back from TxDOT, but if I can move it further down, that entrance is not across the street. I live across the street in Butterfly Meadows. So my subdivision entrance would be where like maybe that the first food truck is towards the,
A little farther down.
yeah, further back, that's where the entrance would be, but this one's further down. If I can move it to the middle of the property, I'll move it to the middle of the property. I just haven't heard back from TxDOT.
and let me interject for a second. And so just to remind the council that we're here specifically for scenic corridor approval, as in the way it looks, all of the things that I read and described prior to. Those are excellent questions. However, there's an order in which approvals happen, and this one has to happen before building applications and/or any other applications would be presented. If you do not mind, Jared, I feel like it would be important to let it be known the types of requirements and questions that we had that were satisfied or answered. That's up to you.
As part of the application process, there's conversation between the developer and the city to get a better comprehensive understanding of what zoning applications may apply to this, what associated businesses were attached to this, because those carried certain design criteria and standards that we had to confirm whether they met. Those were all answered to my satisfaction. If there's particular questions that the council has, we can get into those, but I don't know if we need to.
I just
go through the
I
entire
do-
I just got a quick question.
Yeah.
Real quick.
Mm.
So you're talking about this gravel, as your plans say, and this is gonna be the gravel parking lot
Yes,
for that food court.
Millie.
And then the 3 acres, you said 3 acres for future sites will possibly down the road, you will maybe expand and put more food trucks. Okay, that's the only question I have. Thank you.
And so the only reason that I would want to do this is literally for the public to understand who may, someone either in the audience or on Zoom may have it in their mind, they might want to go through this process as well. And so
Sure.
if it pleases the council,
Yeah,
I
let's
would
go
like to, you've got it in your packet, which is the communication between our city administrator and Mr. Garcia. So he was asked if he could please provide a description of signage that would be included in the project. At the point that this email came through, you did not have that. However, in the meeting in February, you did show us, and I have to apologize, that is not in your packet. As you saw the thick,
We're proceeding without this sign.
without that. So he was also asked about parking size. That was answered in
I
reference.
had a question because it says the parking area will be, and there's nothing.
So that was one of that particular issue was one of the things that led to a significant delay, is getting the email chain to close that loop.
So how many parking spaces?
20, approximately 20, with, I believe, 2 handicap, correct, sir?
Yes.
Possibly more. It should be like 12,000 square feet once the fencing is up. So it's
The typical ratio, just FYI, like for a restaurant,
30 cars, I think.
when you have a four top, you have to have 1.5 cars per four top. If I'm off the top, I could be wrong, but I think that's close.
Which as we get to parking sizes and things, also required a little bit of review of whether that would meet the zoning, because this is not necessarily a restaurant. And it's within the mixed use district, it leaves some discretion on those items, I think. So, but that's one of the areas that we looked into.
So the question had to do with, how many food trucks do you plan? Mr. Garcia said that there would be 3, or there's 1, pardon me, I misspoke, 1 at this time and potentially 3 in the future. Mhm. If he would provide the height of the fence that was intended to construct along Highway 80 to create privacy, and it was stated that that fence would be 6 feet high and would be about 4 feet high, that would run along River Road in the front of the lot. He was asked to describe the portable toilets. We have a picture of that. Do you have that in your deck?
Yeah.
Please describe whether portable toilets will be visible from public roads or nearby. Mr. Garcia's response was the portable restrooms will be visible much like all other areas that use them, but I do plan to put private fencing on the sides to make it look more private, which I appreciate. Was asked to describe the nature of the lighting to be installed and operated at the location. Mr. Garcia stated the lighting will be in a rope style lighting, like the picture in the silo, which we would go then to that visual. Plan to put up poles on the sides facing the parking lot too. So hearing everything that we've already discussed in regards to dark sky, that would be something that we would want you to follow along with. We asked if you were going to, what types of beverages would be available for sale, You stated that you would not be selling alcohol at this time, maybe in the future.
And on that point, that's another area of inquiry that we had. Is my understanding, there's nothing in our ordinances that would prevent somebody from selling beer or wine as part of their establishment if they qualify for a Texas alcohol beverage
That's correct.
permit. So
That's correct.
even if he doesn't choose to do it today, the city has no restrictions or limitations on him applying for that in the future if he chose to.
Good, thank you. We asked if you could please describe the nature of the access to fresh water at the site and how sanitary conditions will be maintained for food preparation and restroom facilities. Mr. Garcia stated that he will have city water connection and the sanitary gray water will be going to the commissary on file with the health department. I personally felt like that was something of interest. That's not something that everyone does. I feel like that's going a little bit above and beyond. So I appreciated that and wanted to let it be known. Can you please, Mr. Garcia, describe what that really means?
Well, the state of Texas requires any mobile food establishment to have a commissary, a place where you're going to service your vehicle, where you're going to buy pre-cooked food. Because if you have like say, I used to have a hot dog cart, so it's exposed to the elements. I can't cook briskets because it has to be an enclosure. So therefore, when you have a commissary, even if it's a hot dog cart, you have to have a commissary if you have a concession trailer. So I have a trailer. My nephew has what, $50,000 trailer, barbecue trailer. He has a commissary, but because they have a commissary, now they can prep brisket on site because it's enclosure. But as far as the maintenance is concerned, the gray water, any services, they will take that trailer to their commissary and do the repairs there.
So that answers the question of runoff, like you're gonna be washing dishes and hands, is that water gonna be running on the ground? And the answer is no.
Now, these are all self-contained, like an RV. But like I said, we can either haul it off ourselves, or I'm trying to get a contract, again, like the city of Buda has these food trucks, downtown Buda, and they have a vendor, it's called Gray Water something. They come and they pump the gray water out of your truck and they go away for a fee every week, every month, however you set up the maintenance fee on it. So there will be no spillage or anything on site.
You don't have any septic or,
No, not at this time. Future, if I decide that I need to build my own commissary, i.e. a building with a kitchen, then I will add a septic system with indoor restrooms and get rid of the porta potties. But that's, like I said, that's further down the line. I said, I can't,
Furthermore, we asked in regards to regular business hours, which I feel like is important to neighbors, that he plans to be open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. We also asked about the project in conjunction with tubing-related business activities, such as physical proximity, direct involvement of tubing-related operations, or any other collaboration or coordination of activities. Mr. Garcia stated, I do not have ties with any tubing businesses. We asked if he could describe any noise that would be generated from the project, either through regular business operations and/or special event programming. Mr. Garcia stated that he said, I do not expect to have any noisy establishment or anything that will be past the normal city noise ordinance hours, which he believed was 10 o'clock. Our interim chief of police just walked out. That 10 is good. 10 is
and
good.
I own a DB meter by profession.
Good. Very
85 decibels or higher, I won't go over that.
Very good. We also asked if he could describe any improvements made to the grounds near the area of the food trucks and tables and silo facilities, paver stones, gravel, etc. Mr. Garcia stated the silo, if I decide to add it, will be on a concrete slab. The food trailers will be on milling type gravel. Is that caliche? Okay. We also asked if he could describe how this project is congruent with the historical, architectural, and cultural character of adjacent and nearby areas within the scenic corridor. That comes directly from our code. And his answer was that he was trying to bring revenue to the city of Martindale and as an outside food venue, that his food court is not a historical area, which is true. It is not in a historical area. And he believes that the food court will not be an eyesore compared to some other situations. Also, that he's very proud of creating something that is aesthetically pleasing. And that was important for us to learn and answer. And I felt like those questions and answers were important for not just the council to hear, but also for to be of record.
Yeah, this is the type of fencing that is described and
That's on River Road side.
But is it gonna be higher? It's gonna be more of a privacy fence?
On the River Road side,
River Road side, the highway side will be private fencing.
Oh, okay.
And I asked about private fencing on both sides and they were like, well, this would be
So
more.
if the privacy fence is there, really, it's scenic corridor, it's.
sort of. I
It's
mean,
not gonna be seen from the scenic corridor.
sort of.
I mean, but y'all had recommended that the privacy fence not be done on Northwest Riverside?
I don't recall that, but
It was more of a, you know, to me, I offered this on River Road side because it's not the highway side.
He's not having-
More of a private fence on the highway side for debris.
Yeah.
Something comes off the highway, not that it won't break the private fence, but it'll at least, you know, do a little bit of resistance compared to this.
And at this point, it's my understanding, you will not be having at this point Highway 80 access.
Not until I mean, I gotta, like I say, with text out the size for where they want the entrance, how they want the entrance. If, you know, if I gotta cut those trees down in the middle of the property, so be it. But like I said, you know,
So the entrance is gonna be from Northwest River.
primarily, yes.
Yeah.
On the question that was asked, the deemed approval language only appears in the historic district ordinance. This is not, what we're dealing with tonight does not pertain to the historic district. It pertains to the scenic corridor. There is no deemed approval language in the scenic corridor portion of our code of ordinances.
So that brings us back to, if it pleases the mayor and council, for us to have a very quick meeting next Tuesday and just, you know, we already know all of our information and I don't even know why we have to necessarily wait until Tuesday, as long as we have a 72-hour posting. I'll let that be up to the mayor and the city administrator.
we'll discuss that with Ken. Unless there's any other questions from city council, I'd recommend letting the public weigh in on this.
Yeah, it's not the public.
Who was the first one to?
I just wanted to say one thing. I wanted to say thank you for your service. I'm sorry that you had those feelings and you felt like, you know,
Like I said, those are my personal.
prolonged and, you know, it was a
That's
long
right.
time. I know. And, you know, just a parent from somebody who's currently serving, I appreciate, you know, your service. So.
Just so everybody knows, I've been in Martindale for 20 years. I've been in 2000. I love this town. My wife was born and raised in Martindale. I have family here in Martindale. My nephew just moved out of Martindale, but he's trying to come back. You know, he's a pit master barbecue guy. And he can tell you his story in a minute, but he's gonna have his trailer out there.
Thank you.
Don Schultz? Yeah, you can use the podium. Mike, would you mind assisting him?
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Don Schultz. I'm also a disabled vet too. And I'm speaking about the food court, Mr. Garcia on 1008 Northwest River Road in Martindale. I am requesting a TIA, Traffic Impact Analysis Report, that there is so much congestion now at Ladybug Lane and the Second Pack, especially through the summertime with the buses from the tubing company
It's immense. It's so much that cars are parked in a long line in front of my house all the way down for hours. If Mr. Garcia moves his food court venue to the other end of his property, which is wider, the traffic congestion would be greatly reduced at the second pack and the Ladybug Lane. Basically would save a lot of lives, I think. We've also had several accidents already there in that area. And I think the fireman representative said we have a lot of accidents over here. Hours of operation to be kept to the code under mobile food vendor 114-202, number 7, says 7 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night in June, July, and August, and until 8 o'clock p.m. the remainder of the year. That's the city's code. 114-02, number 7. And then there's the code 114-02D. It says, I think Lisa mentioned it, that the stated mobile food establishments must be parked on a paved surface and a clean surrounding. Those things are not being mentioned. They talk about gravel all the time instead of these codes that are in the city codes. There should be a drainage study done that would affect the judicial review of U.S. waterways under the Clean Water Act to prevent flooding. We haven't got much rain, but we really got a good amount of rain like we're supposed to be getting. A lot of Mr. Garcia's land, we washed right across on the River Road into my property. And well, I just want to say that because there's no hard surface on Mr. Garcia's property, there would probably be there'd be no way to prevent soil erosion or contamination onto the street roads into the properties. And there's no way, it's all going to run down to that creek down below, just before that trailer court, mobile home court. I don't know the name of that creek, but personally, I'm requesting a privacy fence from one end of Mr. Garcia's property to the other end on the Northwest River side. It reduced a lot of problems and a lot of the trash. It's not his fault, but it blows. His property is cleared, and I get a lot of wind now, you know, and I get a lot of trash, and it's going to get a lot worse now come summertime. I want to thank you for your time and your cooperation in this matter, Don Schultz.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz.
Thank you very, very much. And I do want to just remind everyone here is that several of the things that you have brought forth are certainly valid and to be concerned of. However,
I think so too.
however,
I'm here.
this particular, at this particular junction, we're just dealing with scenic corridor.
So I think some of the,
Scenic corridor and mobile food only.
Yeah, those are different.
some of what he's mentioning could be considered under the criteria for approval. As it is on, if you look at the third page of your handout, it describes whether the proposed development activity will have a detrimental effect on historical, architectural, or cultural character of the scenic corridor. If this is, you know, that's something that the city council probably could consider if they chose to, especially the hours of operation or.
And I see what you're saying.
So what, in section 150, this is the scenic corridor.
All right.
025 is established under 150-028 certificate required. Subparagraph H describes criteria for approval. The following criteria should be used to determine whether the application for a certificate of appropriateness will be approved, conditionally approved, or denied. And describes further whether the proposed development activity would have a detrimental effect on the historical, architectural, or cultural character of the scenic corridor, and whether the property owner would suffer extreme hardship not limited solely to loss of profit unless a certificate of appropriate is issued. So those are pretty broad terms when it describes cultural character of the scenic corridor. I think as we consider the type of establishment that's proposed, it's worth considering accepting it on modification subject to compliance with the hours of operation described in our food vendors regulations. I don't believe that says creates extreme hardship for you. It would be limited to 9 p.m. during the summer months, and then 8 p.m. outside of the summer months. But that's what Mr. Schultz is addressing.
Well, let me throw something out there. I mean, your main concerns of traffic. You think moving that site to the farther down the property would
It'd benefit him because it's wider down there.
would benefit you
Well, benefit
for
me, of
traffic,
course.
for traffic
It's hard
flow?
enough to get out of my property
Traffic
as it
flow,
is.
I mean, it's something maybe,
But, with more activity there,
I see.
it's gonna cause more congestion than what these tubing company buses have no
I
respect
mean, it's just,
for anybody,
I can move the entrance further down. if
Because
that's-
they'll run right through your interest, believe me, they'll run right across your property, because you have it on both sides, which is a good thing. But they'll drive right through that, which they've done at the second patch.
Can we reduce the size of what we have on the screen so we can see the full,
the full property.
the full property, which each of you have in your packet,
Right.
so that you can see, but just for the public.
Lisa, is right there is the gravel side at Hermanos.
I'm-
Over here, this is conceptual site plan.
Right, way down there.
At the bottom.
Where's his conceptual site?
Can you put the cursor over it?
Cursor, he's looking for,
You show where Spring River,
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
where the Spring River, Kim, there we go.
he's
That's what I'm
trying to
looking
give
at.
you some better view.
This is the property.
Uh-huh.
So as you're looking at this map that overlays here,
Right.
I had a question for Martin though. Is there a reason why you picked the site closer to there than closer to the restaurant?
You got the shade over there.
On the other side there? Okay.
I don't have trees, just a picnic tables in the middle of the sun.
And so the plan is to build it nearest, this stretch of land is between Hermanos, Taqueria and Bakery and the Texaco. And so your plan is to build nearest the Texaco.
If the trees were in the middle, I'd probably put it in the middle, but
Okay,
there is no trees in the middle of the lot.
okay.
Is there one towards the end?
No,
None at the end?
but like I said, if it's the entrance he's concerned in front of his property, there's gonna be a fence across his driveway. The entrance can be in the middle of the property. It doesn't have to be over there. It could be in the middle, as long as they get to where they need to get over there. It's just,
It'd be like taking his driveway downstream of
where
it.
where he comes out of his house, he's gonna be hitting the fence.
Okay,
There's not gonna be no driveway coming
okay.
into my lot.
There, yeah, there,
He
right there
drives
where the cursor is, that's his driveway, right?
Yes.
So I have a thought. Let me just throw this out here. Right in front of your neighbor's driveway, the fence that we looked at a moment ago, we all
Right.
have a picture of it. Can somebody pull theirs up? When you leave yours there, I'll find it.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the kind of fence we were looking at. Would it be feasible and or possible, as a matter of fact, in that picture, beyond the fence that you're talking about, that's got the double, you see in the picture? The double, it's a privacy fence, but it's the kind that's got a little,
Double-sided?
correct. So it's aesthetically pleasing on both sides, is my point. Would it be remotely feasible for in front of your space to have that type of fence and then a little further down to have the other? It's Just a question.
I'm gonna put it, that's something I was gonna put it the whole 100 feet.
Say presently on his development map, it's just around the food court, as I understand it, right? So he's gonna put that fence around the food court, basically 30 feet in from his property line. And then you're gonna have the decoration of plants and shrubs, another 20 feet. And then he's gonna put some special kind of gravel down and put the food vendors on that. He's planning 4 of them at this time at least. And the thing in the middle for drinks. But that fence is only right around that end, and there's nothing the rest of the way down at present. That's why I'm requesting a privacy fence put up instead of just that little 4-foot thing, because of the many things is going to take place.
Sure. And so I have a question, Mr. Garcia. What made you select the fence that we just looked at, this fence? This style?
Gotta look nicer on River
Yeah,
Road.
that look good around your venue for sure,
You know?
but it's as far as
The
the
reason I was
colors.
gonna put private fencing on the highway side was because the noise and, you know, elements coming off the highway. You know, I don't mind putting private fencing all the way around where I'm gonna sell food. As far as his concern is fencing the rest of the property, the property's been there vacant for 20 years. There's never been any runoff. You know, I removed bamboo that was there, I don't know how long it was there. Where's the thank you with that?
Incredibly.
You know, I mean,
Mhm.
I cleaned that property up a lot by myself, my dad. Where's the thank you on that? And I have gravel sitting on there right now, and it's rained, it hasn't gone anywhere, it's still there. But if you have a shovel, come on and help me and we can move it.
But I guess, your main concern is the driveway, his entrance, congested flow.
Because it's in front of his driveway.
Well, it's not just that, that's a concern, of course, because it's hard enough to get in and out. And I've complied last year with the city to trim my trees back 6 foot, I trimmed them 7 foot back, so everybody has good clearance. And, and through that freeze, I lost several trees because they couldn't stand with that, a 2 below 0 for 5 days. And that's not nothing to do with the situation we face here, but I'm just saying that, you know, I'm compliant too with the city in every aspect. And when it comes to the prop, I think he's got a great design. But again, I know what takes place all the time, so I've been here for 10 years or more now. And I see all the trash, and I picked up panties and bras, and the list goes on, you know. And that's not his fault.
That's why I put that fence up.
Yeah,
Because of the trash. it gets
Around
flies
your
when it comes.
food court, that's a really good idea. That's why I was thinking if your food court is down at the other end, it's going to change the typical situation we face every summer of someone getting whacked right there in front of Ladybug Lane. Because that road's not any wider than it has been for 10, 20 years. And there's been several, I was there when I saw that 18-wheeler turn around and that elderly couple got whacked off, you know? And it was just tough, you know? And with more congestion, it's gonna be even more tougher. And I know a lot of people in the area are concerned about the fact that there's been no study for the TIA, traffic analysis. And and really before the permit should be issued, they should check that out first. That is the responsibility of the city. And there's other responsibilities of the city too, for the runoff. And I understand we haven't seen no rain in 20 years, really. I mean, the most we've ever seen is 5 inches at one time.
One day, say, did a good job. Right, Jeff?
So that again,
You stopped out there one day to say, I did a good job out there on the property.
He said you told him he had been doing a good job by cleaning up the property.
I said it looks awful nice. Did a real good job from what it was, got all the bamboo off. I thought he did a magnificent job.
It does look much
But
nicer.
I also told you, I don't think you can get an entrance off of Highway 80. Because it's too close to Butterfly Meadows entrance, the store right there, and the restaurant there. Have you talked to the highway department yet?
I emailed them, so we.
That's between text dot really handle. But quick, back to your point. What would be a suitable entrance for his property from, say, can we show your property and where you would think, I mean, a
That's
better
right there
entrance?
on the map already.
Go ahead, show us with the arrow.
That's why I'm saying if he could
Okay,
move
show
his
us- show us.
venue down to the other end by Romanis. Mexican restaurant?
Let's say he doesn't move his venue or compromise, whatever, what would be the perfect, or something acceptable to you, something acceptable to you for an entrance,
Don't answer the perfect.
Well, it would be suitable for you
One of
for,
the
I'm
words
trying
that you
to, suitable entrance that would,
Right smack in the middle.
But it would be helpful, I mean, realistically, because of the traffic situation there on River Road, because of the tubing buses, I mean, that road, not only beat
so
to
if we
death.
had, get that cursor right there, so where would be your ideal place for an entrance?
I don't have an ideal place.
Okay,
It's gonna be his choice to make.
but
an
I'm just
ideal
saying,
place, not mine.
what would be more
I'm
suitable?
making a request, you know.
Okay,
And the
request.
request would, the entrance would be what, in the middle?
If it be in the middle, it'd be better, of
Be
course.
better, okay, there we
Be
go.
better.
And I think, like, it would be, it would be better, just because, like you said, I understand that there's a lot of concern, like with the buses in the
Yes.
summertime, and it's
So
not
many cars.
always,
Is that
you know,
problem for you?
it's not always like that.
But the buses have been there.
Yeah.
I've been here.
They
They're
have,
not gonna stop. So, I mean,
no,
I think more his concern is the traffic in front of his driveway. There is not gonna be no traffic in front of the driveway because it's gonna be a fence in front. The driveway is gonna, the entrance to the driveway to the place is gonna be right there where that telephone pole is, more or less.
Right there where the cursor is.
Right there.
currently.
Okay.
That's in front of my, not
But-
in front of my
like I said-
driveway, but it's in front of my property.
I mean, I mean, I'm trying to let y'all two guys hash this out a little
No,
bit.
I understand, I understand.
Could you go downstream? Would it say right there or a little farther down?
It's not really, it's not necessarily the location of the food truck, it's just the location of the entrance.
Well,
So you could,
I think the entrance for the food trucks, and I think that's a great perspective and it's very accommodating to the environment and to the scenic view, scenic corridor. But everything jammed right up there at the convenience store just isn't,
would you be able to extend the parking lot further down? Is that,
Yeah, I can
Is that-
extend it down. It's
is
just-
that
But
the
the
thought?
food court is, like I said, I have the trees right there. I'm gonna use the trees for the shade,
Mhm.
for the tables. Does it make sense?
that makes sense.
This is.
Yeah.
I think it's important to think about what the code allows in terms of approving this. Because what we're not getting into at this point,
Personally.
whether or not this would have a detrimental effect on the historical, architectural, or cultural character of the scenic corridor. And those are the three things. Looking at this, would this hot dog stand detrimentally affect historical, architectural, cultural? The way this conversation is going is not whether what is being proposed would in fact be detrimental. It's simply saying, where do you want to locate it on the lot? But the location of this development on the lot, if we're saying, yeah, sounds good, looks good, great idea, I just want you to move it 20 feet in one direction or the other. If it's fine on one place on the lot, because it is not detrimental historically, architecturally, or culturally, then the conversation isn't, I mean, it then jumps into chapter 114, where the city administrator says, okay, now let me look and see if this meets the requirements of the code. But the only question for the council is, would this detrimentally impact the historical, architectural, or cultural character of the corridor? And if the answer is no, then he's fine. If the answer is yes, then what changes need to be made?
So how can we address this issue down the road? I mean, we can't address it now, but we got two people that live here. You know, he needs to do a business and he has to live across the
Through
street.
through chapter 114, because ultimately what happens then is there's specific requirements for how this type of operation must be met, and the determination as to whether or not to issue that final permit for operating a food truck rests with the city administrator. But the question tonight is,
I understand, I understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from. I understand it totally.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, it'd be nice to get these two parts, because they're both citizens of our
Yes.
town.
Yeah.
He needs to do a food court, he needs he wants to do his business, but this gentleman's his neighbor, so if we could get a dialogue. And maybe it's the wrong place to do this, but this dialogue needs to happen.
no, I don't think it's the wrong place. I don't think it's the wrong place to do it. I think this is how government works, and it's
Exactly.
helpful. But that being said, it is important to focus on the parameters of the discussion tonight. Even if we go into other areas and some type of resolution can be had, it's still important to understand the scope.
We don't need to run too far down the rabbit
Okay.
hole.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Yeah, I'm a resident too of Butterfly Meadows.
Can you stand and introduce yourself, please,
Yeah, my
sir?
name is Rob Smith. I'm a resident too of Butterfly Meadows. And I give him credit for what he wants to do. We were there last year when they let the kids park on the lot, and they had garbage everywhere, beer cans everywhere. Too close to that gas station, they're gonna be buying beer and going over to his place. It was rowdy, it was noisy, and several people almost got hit.
Mm-hmm,
Crossing the street, parking on the street, Ladybug Lane.
mm-hmm.
Because when they want to have fun, they're going to have fun. And they don't watch things and don't do things. So I like the idea that it should be moved down. Okay, there's trees, but there's also umbrellas you can buy and you can put on the tables. Or there's canopies you can have. That's the least of the problems. To me, the safety of people that live in that tract, that street has gotten 3 times busier than it was last year. And traffic is jammed up bumper to bumper. Fire trucks are always going down there. And I see what's happening. If they see that food court, that store is right there, they're gonna whip right in that driveway and turn around to get in the entrance. And it's gonna cause somebody, it's gonna cause a wreck.
And I appreciate what you're saying. And again, I'm going to follow the lead of our legal
And
counsel.
as far as your idea on your thought about, is it gonna interfere with the, what 3 terms did you use?
It's, what is it? Detriment, oh, now I'm not finding it.
Historical.
To the historical, architectural, or cultural character of the city.
Cultural, yeah, cultural. Yes, 'cause people are gonna get,
We don't have any.
people are gonna get hurt.
Can I make a suggestion here?
Council
Maybe I
meeting,
might
we don't even
add
know
a
what's
tip,
ever going on.
maybe I might
Yes,
turn here.
please, yeah.
Maybe if it's possible, we could have you gentlemen sit with this gentleman, and,
Never met him.
I mean, this is a.
Can I answer his question?
Oh, yes,
Your concern was because I had gotten permission to park cars there for Texas State Tubing. This is not Texas State Tubing anymore. This is a food court.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
still
why
gonna
the
be same
people, that,
Still gonna be tons
this
of
is
people.
why they solely park there to go to the river.
this will be a different
It's two
establishment.
different situations here. You can't throw that to people that want to come and eat hot dogs.
Yeah. And
You
I'm not
know,
doing
that
that.
restaurant's right there, the gas station is right there, it's the same tubers, they stop and get beer and
Could
ice.
we possibly
They
have,
stop at the restaurant, it's the same situation.
Yeah, I
And
just think it should be moved down.
I'll keep us online. And yes, I respect what you've spoken. Remind me your last name, Mr. Smith. Thank you. However, part of the reason that I read the questions and answers that we as a city went through was because we too were concerned about that. And it was stated that that was not going to be part of this establishment. I felt like that was important for our residents and public to know. So
Is that gonna be controlled on the drinking booths? Are you gonna allow people to come in?
At
with
this-
beer from the store?
at this point, he does not, that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we are.
Cultural.
But they can drop right here on Main Street, busting their nose and everything else.
True. So at this juncture, we're not discussing that particular facet as important as it is. We have a gentleman in the back, Corey Rolock.
Hey, thanks for letting me just jump in here.
I just happen to know your name, but you can say it yourself.
I'm still Corey Rolock.
Thank you.
Okay, just for a safety standpoint, no entrance
on or off of Highway 80 right there. And, keep your design and everything the same, sir, but just extend a driveway further down river from this gentleman's property here to where he's not getting headlights in and out of his property all night long. And you know what? It's a good idea, but, boot it down. But I do agree with some of you guys. It's going to be a mess there with the tube place and all the track balls. I mean, if you're, I used to be a college student, and if I could get tacos in the evening, God bless America. Great idea. I just wish it would be a position.
If I may keep us on track, Corey,
Don, do you have anything else?
anything?
Mr. Schultz, did you have anything else to say?
No, that's all I had to say.
All right.
I've been making recommendations to the board, and I'm using your codes so that you can function according to the codes that you presently now have, not the codes of last year. Obviously, they're gone by. But I'm just concerned about the congestion. And I come up with an idea that is just as feasible for Mr. Garcia as it is up on the north end, is put it on the south end or east end or west end, what they call that, of his property, which would reduce the congestion, not only on my property, but I'm concerned about the things that take place in front of Lady Bird Lane and also the convenience stores. I mean, I come back from the post office every week, 2 times a week, and it's not easy to get home.
Thank you for your suggestions. We do have 3 other people signed up.
Yeah.
To discuss on this very same
Thank you
topic.
again for listening to me.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you and your time.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm going to say, Karen, please tell me your last name.
Malinowski. And I'm kind of the same person with him. I have some suggestions for this kind of problem that Don was talking about. If you'll allow me to read my speech, you don't have to have a discussion about it afterwards, but you can at least hear and maybe it can stimulate some more ideas. I think I have some kind of solution. I don't know if it's a definite no, like they were saying here about Highway 80, not an entrance. That would be a preferred thing. But let me read my speech to you. I think that a lot of the studies and the analysis and reviews that Don had mentioned would be a good thing, and that should be done, but not to hinder progress, but to protect Mr. Garcia. So that if a problem should develop in the future, he would be able to support his position and have more information is always a better thing, I think, for everyone. Today, we would like basically to request the 2 things Donnie has already talked about. One, to move his food court to the other end of his property, closer to Hermanos Restaurant. The second is to request a 6-foot privacy fence along Northwest River Road that matches the 2 fences he already has up for the other 2 neighbors. My reasons for the first request are, I have about 4 reasons. If a TIA, a traffic impacts analysis, were to be done, it would have a more positive outcome at the east end of his property. It would be less congested and safer for all people. It gets very congested at the Sack and Pack when the tube company is in operation. The second reason is when the tubing company is open, the traffic to and from on Northwest River Road is backed up. This will affect Mr. Garcia's driveway on Northwest River Road. A suggestion that I have is to request 2 driveways from Highway 80, but only put in 1 and wait and see if another one is even necessary. The third reason is to reduce noise for all residents living by the Sack and Pack, and that's on either side. My house, my neighbors to the left of me, and to the people at Ladybug Lane. For myself, I have 2 out of 3 bedrooms upstairs that face out right where the court is being, the food court is being proposed. My house was built in 1865, and I guess this was a popular floor plan back then. The fourth reason is for the people living on Ladybug Lane. It was it would make it easier and safer to get in and out of their own street. And I believe this is the only access road they have to getting onto Highway 80. My second request of putting up a privacy fence from the corner of the existing fence by Second Pack to the fence by the restaurant on Northwest River Road, or at least to the end of our property line. My reasons for this request is this will help to cut down on noise and dust pollution. I have a hard enough time breathing due to my sinus issues and my allergies. And just before COVID, I had nose surgery done, which was no picnic, but it did help me to breathe better. The fence will help with trash blowing on Northwest River Road. The wind is very strong coming across Mr. Garcia's land, and it's also strong on mine, and I have hedges all the way in front of it. I don't know why it's so windy in that little area, but it is. And I thought, well, that would help. The privacy fence would help with trash. We get enough trash already from the Second Pack because it's so windy there. And the third one is to keep me calm and less stressful because I can't see over a fence, a high 6-foot fence. I'm only 5 foot something. Last summer, when the tubing company was using it for a parking lot, I saw 2 men arguing while another man was carrying a large white cooler in preparation for his little tailgating party. This all made me feel very threatened and unsafe on my own property in front of my own house. And the fourth one, also, by not having a driveway, a full fence on Northwest River Road, Mr. Garcia will be avoiding much unwanted traffic coming onto his property. The tubing company and buses will use his driveway to get to Highway 80. The way it was proposed is he had a driveway out onto 80 and out onto Northwest River Road.
Well,
That's
these
great.
tubers wouldn't even care if it's an access. They'll drive across there to get to Highway 80. I've
Well,
seen
this
so much.
this
You
is
see
true.
those fire
This
trucks?
is true.
Let's let her finish, please. Let's let.
But this will allow customers, if he had it blocked off, this would allow customers in his own parking lot to be able to drive in freely without any accidents in his parking lot. I foresee, because I see it at the Second Pack all the time, what they're gonna do is they're gonna go in through his entrance on Northwest River Road. They'll make a nice long line and they'll wait to get onto the expressway or onto the highway. And he's not going to want that, and it's gonna take up his parking spot for his own customers, is gonna be the problem. And I just, for most of the rest of this, I just wanted to ask if the porta pot could be moved even halfway in. There's a lot of people, I have a garden right out in front by the road, and there's a lot of people, I just never realized how many people actually walk to that Second Pack. And I just thought, well, I don't know, I mean, the porta pots, I think, are a great idea, and I've never seen cuter ones, actually. But anyway, I just didn't want them having to smell, because it gets hot and humid in the summer, and the odors come out, and it's sad enough that they have to walk to the Second Pack, let alone have to be smelling bad odors. And that was my last thing to say, other than I think Mr. Garcia gets an A+ in his design for his food court. I've never seen a cuter one. I think it's darling.
Great. Thank you, Karen. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome, and I wish him the best success.
And next on our list is Mr. Garcia. However, I feel like it's appropriate for you to go last. So we have one more. Is that what you were recommending?
Yeah.
Brian Gonzalez.
Brian Gonzalez.
Brian?
Yeah, Brian Gonzalez, one of the vendors, gonna be one of the vendors at this food court.
All right.
And I just wanted to let you know that we're a barbecue, we do a barbecue trailer, and it's a barbecue co-op. And I've worked with several barbecue restaurants throughout the state. And I thought that Martindale would be nice to have Martindale have their own barbecue restaurant. So Lawford has their own restaurant. Luling has their own restaurant, San Marcos has their own restaurant, and I thought that it would help grow the community with barbecue and get it all together, I think it's a great idea with him, but like, his food court, like, he needs to have, like, with trash and stuff, we need to pick up our own trash, And I think he needs to, tell his employees that he has employees to pick up after everybody leaves and stuff, and make sure that we keep it clean, because I don't want to have, my barbecue trailer at a place where it's not gonna be clean and noticeable to people. I want it to attract people.
Absolutely.
I
And
have a
that's
question.
that's part of your business.
In Austin recently, the food trucks there have been robbed and vandalized. And it's been a problem with food trucks in Austin. What about security lights or?
I mean, we'll probably have cameras, security lights and cameras, motion sensor lights and cameras on our truck. But, I want it to be a nice property because we don't want to go in this property that's not as.
This is gonna be a family-owned establishment.
I actually have one question.
Okay.
Let
I'm
him.
sorry, go ahead. I'll say mine in a minute. Go ahead.
Yes,
Thank
go.
you.
Yes, go. I mean, you want to respond?
Mr. Garcia, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna, yeah.
All right, what was the question?
Oh, well,
You were saying it was a family.
Well, it's gonna be a family-owned business, and to much surprise, I live on Ladybug Lane. Okay, and I live right across the street. There is not a lot of traffic in and out of my subdivision. There is more traffic on Highway 80 for me to get out of my subdivision, not going in and out. Now, if I move my food court to the other end of the property, you see that line, the track right there? That's the people coming from Texas State 2. So there is more traffic there than it would be at the other end.
So they.
So if this is all a safety concern, you're jeopardizing more people to have an accident coming down from Texas State 2s right there, because everybody's coming down that road, and a lot of times they don't stop. They just pull out and they don't see the cars coming on North River Road. So there's more potential for accidents on this end because I've seen it. So like I said, if I got to move my entrance to the middle of the property, it doesn't matter. It's just an entrance to get to the property.
Right. Is it possible, Jared, for you to draw around what is actually his property?
It's that blank space right there. In the
Okay.
middle
I
of
can
the,
tell.
middle of the screen.
Okay,
It's
so,
not-
but
it's
that,
here.
they're driving through your property is what I'm hearing you say?
What's that?
The buses are driving through your
It
property?
used to until I put some cut down tree limbs or
Oh, you blocked
right
that.
there, so they don't, because see that tire track, they were just driving straight across.
because they don't want to wait at the stoplight.
So,
Just with a bus full of people.
Mr. Smith,
And I don't have a problem with I love food trucks. And my son said, hey, let's have some food trucks. He's 25 and he'll be over there all the time, but it's the location of them with regards to what we know is the traffic on 80 and what we saw last year and the year before with people. They go crazy. And my concern is three things. The traffic and people that we've seen almost get killed and hit right there. Number two, the people that go to that store and buy alcohol has his way of controlling no open containers on the property. He's not going to serve alcohol because they do get crazy when that happens. And they'll walk to the store and buy the alcohol and come on his property. That's a concern. All I'm saying is if he move it about where those trees, is that trees there, right there?
The middle.
in the center,
In that area, I think it's going to be okay. I
The
think
entrance come up.
the entrance could actually be a horseshoe in and out. But yeah, the entrance closer this way and then over maybe that other way, but not right in front of, next to the gas station,
No, it wasn't gonna be right next to the gas station.
right there.
Because it's fencing,
Yeah, but I mean, it was going to be what, how far from the fence on the gas station?
over 100 feet.
100 feet?
we'll go back to this drawing and blow it up. And just, I want to say is because it's been said multiple times, he has a notion of a future entrance on Highway 80. However, that is 100% text dot.
Yeah, that's,
And if there's anybody in this room who's dealt with text dot more than anyone else, it's Mr. Jack Mudd. And there are regulations as to how many feet between entrances. I believe it is 400 feet. And it's not our decision. It's not what we're talking about. And it's not what we're determining.
Hermanos has problems and they're off at 80, you know, people coming, they
Can-
still do it, but
can
they've been there forever.
Okay, can we?
I
But
wanted-
anyway.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
I'm concerned.
So I just wanted to say, like, I think, we could go on and on about this like all night, and that's gonna be like for any business on 80. I think as long as your boxes are checked with the city, because technically, whenever it comes down to it, if it's a property owner, we as a city cannot tell you exactly what needs to go where and what. You as a business owner, that's gonna be up to you, because yeah, because you've already done, your part. And, and I'm sure that the caliber of gentleman that you are and your military service and the way that you have been, and I know that you've heard them, and I respect that it's going to be a family, dog friendly. Is it going to be dog friendly? Maybe not.
Sure.
Oh.
He's also carbon neutral.
Dog friendly?
It's gonna develop to work.
Yeah, so I know that, you're gonna work with your neighbor and, I'm excited about your endeavor. But I think like the safety concerns, the traffic, the buses, that's there, that's real, that's happening here. And I'm glad to say that we're gonna have a police chief, here in town, that's gonna be upholding the laws and making sure that our citizens and our visitors are safe. Can we control wrecks and deaths and accidents? We cannot. Sadly, we can't.
And I do plan to have security. I work for the school district, so I know a lot of SROs that want to work extra compound hours. So, I mean, I'm gonna have safety there because of the purpose of trailers getting robbed and whatnot during the day and whatnot. But like I said, I am prior service, Marine Corps. I will have a clean food establishment. And when people parked there last year and they left their trash, I was out there first thing in the morning picking it up.
Can I make one more point on this? Can you get back to the map, the Google map? Right there. Just real quick. See the tree cluster in the middle of the property?
Yeah.
Would that be a problem for you to have your food court there? In
Yes.
that grassy area? Would that be a problem? I'm just asking.
There's a utility pole there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right in the middle.
I could put the entrance there and that's fine. The
Okay.
food courts can go where they're gonna go.
Okay, understand. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. One is,
Please stand and introduce yourself.
my name's Latrice Cook. I'm a resident of Martindale. I just want to know about the process. Why has it been a year that his application's been out here? All these questions are coming up right now, which further delays his ability to do that. That's one. And two, on the application, when you went back and you asked about the sound, the noise, this, that, and the other, were those additional questions that you asked on the application, or are they on the application itself, or were those comeback questions that you all came up with?
So the reason why it took a year was because we did not receive a application that fully described the site development as was presented. What we initially received was a drawing on legal pad. What we needed in order to confirm the zoning, setback, and other requirements was for a drawing to be produced with the required setbacks and other items included with their
It's drawn by
application.
engineers.
Basically engineer drawing, computer aided drawing. As part of the review process, prior to the certificate of appropriateness being considered, it has to pass, there's 3 items. It's zoning. I'll pull the prior approvals. An application for appropriateness shall not be approved unless the following permits have been approved and remain in effect covering the proposed activity. Zoning that allows the proposed use, any specific use required for the proposed use, and any required final subdivision plat or final development plat for the proposed use. So there was at different times questions about the platting or replatting, because right now there's 2 lots within that green space, as you see on the screen, whether that would be replatted as a single property or would remain 2 as separate. So there's a number of reasons that delayed it to this point. The reason for the questions that were submitted had to do with the prior requirements for the criteria of approval as they would relate to information of interest to the city council as they consider this. And so those items were asked. And so each
So are those
certificate.
questions that you all add in addition, I guess what I'm asking is because, you know, you all were talking about the decibels and this, that, and the other, and how I can hear at my house on Crockett Street, the music from this venue that's right here. And I just wanted to see about the equity in the application process. Were there additional questions asked because of the location where this is, where the kids are? Or, you know, did you all add those things about the noise and this, that, and the other? Or are those the same noise requirements? Is that applicable to the people that have the band and all this kind of stuff?
So
Is it consistent, I guess, what I'm asking?
the thing that's different that between the 2 activities or the 2 application procedures, there's no scenic corridor downtown. So
Well, this is not a scenic corridor.
this is not a scenic corridor.
But it is.
So there's no certificate of appropriate. There is a historic, and that has a certificate of appropriateness requirement. That activity, I believe, predates myself. And so I have not reviewed that for whether that would need to come before council. As it relates to alcohol consumption and other things, they're permitted to allow off-premise consumption and basically care from one side of the street to the other side of the street.
Based on the zone, based on the zoning.
Well, based on their alcohol permit, as I understand. The application requirements are fairly detailed. There's 7 or 8. One of them is any information that the building official may deem necessary in order to visualize the proposed development activity. And that's the criteria in which a lot of those questions were
The
asked.
building official, I don't know.
So as of right now, there's tonight, later on, the city council will appoint a building official. And with that position being vacant, it's the city administrator. So it's me. So
This process will go faster.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would like to throw one thing out, Mr. Garcia. First of all, thank you. Thank you very much for your patience. I know we have gone back and forth in lots of ways and for lots of reasons. And at the end of the day, I believe that we've come to a good place. Something that's occurred to me that I've listened to the concerns of safety. And as it stands for now, where you do plan to have one entrance, which I'm assuming will be an ingress and an egress in and out, would it be feasible when you are not open for there to be like those swinging gates that you would lock? At a minimum, a chain to prevent a bus or a car or a vehicle from going through there. That is a notion and an idea that if the council so pleases and or chooses to put a condition on approval, that there would be a gate of sorts, however you so choose.
May I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So what,
Would their model not be the gate?
and then what I've heard him say is that there's gonna be a privacy fence along Highway 80, like it's gonna be, there's privacy fence.
The whole length of Highway 80,
Uh-huh.
which was not what I was gonna do. I was gonna do
Just around the food court.
Right. He's not doing the whole thing.
not the whole
Which is-
property. There's been requests to fence my whole property.
Like I say, I'm trying to, you two, we all have citizens to report to. We all do.
I understand.
Okay, so what I've heard you say is you're willing to move your entrance
Exactly.
down
Yes.
and maybe put up a privacy fence.
I didn't say privacy. I just
Maybe, okay.
move the entrance down.
Move the entrance down, have a fence.
Around the food truck.
I'm just trying to get clarification quick. Okay, I understand your concerns. If he moves his entrance down to relieve congestions in front of y'all's property, that the gate won't, his entrance won't be where it's proposed now, it'll be moved down. Okay, he's willing to do that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And a fence that you showed earlier
Around the food.
with a hall, okay, it'll be up to your entrance?
No,
Okay,
around
so,
the food establishment.
so what, you have your fence around your food establishment, where your fence will be.
This is the fence. This is
Okay,
dash
your
line.
fence.
Yes.
So it'll be open.
All the way down to the entrance. But if I could put barbed wire fencing to be more, it's open, along 80, if that's what people.
I'm talking about Northwest River Road.
Yeah, I'm
talking
saying
about.
Norfolk River.
So Northwest River Road, to make sure that the traffic goes into that entrance.
Well, I was gonna put cones and there's gonna be a marked entrance. It's not gonna be where they can just go on anywhere in the grass. It's just gonna be a designated entrance. With,
So it would be blocked.
railroad ties or how I do
Okay.
that.
Police spikes, so cars can't go through the through the
So
field,
it'd be marked, there would be a
the
barrier,
tires.
there'd be a barrier between your entrance and your fencing around your food court, correct?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
Okay, I think we need to
Yeah,
move
yeah,
on.
we definitely
Okay, I'm
do.
just trying to.
Yes.
trying to-
All right.
Martin, can I get the three most important questions?
Yes.
Are you a Texan? Are you gonna serve chili dogs?
What?
Are you gonna serve
Chili dogs.
And Chicago style.
That's
Okay.
good.
What kind of beans are you gonna have in your chili? There you go.
Come on, man.
All right, all right.
You are a Texan.
He's not gonna have
I
beans.
have a business.
You got it.
Yes, Sam.
All of these businesses are all probably going to have some kind of signs along the scenic corridor. Is that a separate
It is.
permit?
Well, so that's part of the,
This is part
the
of the
delay.
COA, right?
yeah, so one of the application requirements is if the proposal includes signs or lettering and those things. None has been presented to the city today. What we've decided to do is consider the application as is now, complete, and then another scenic certificate of appropriateness would have
Y'all
to
are
be
okay
submitted
with
for
doing the
sign.
signs later in front of us again,
And
in front of the city.
at our last meeting, when we sat literally just with Mr. Garcia, he did show us an image that,
But that's going to be separate, so we're not.
Yes,
Okay,
that's gonna be
okay.
This is for and only for the
Okay, I just wanted
historical,
to,
cultural, and architectural purposes.
and if there are additional questions, any city council member has all of their numbers in these packets, and we can talk to them, before the next meeting. Okay, and so. are we
Is there
ready
any other,
to move on
is there any
to the
other
next
public
one?
comments before we move on?
When's your next meeting going to be?
We're
I
not
believe that-
sure yet.
I believe that's not scheduled.
All right. Will be in the paper?
What I heard was 72 hours.
Well, hold on. Just-
We still,
Let's stop. I don't want to give you a guess, sir. I know that we published it in the paper. I don't know what time or date was published. I was not here when I was done. It will be published on our website. And any comments that you've had tonight will be considered by city council. It's not like what happens tonight isn't for naught. It's still considered part of the decision-making
And we
process.
can call you.
There's the entire, like I mentioned earlier, entire other sections of the code of ordinances that must be met. The only question tonight is whether or not this is architecturally, historically, and culturally appropriate. That's just one box.
Yeah.
There's other boxes that have to be checked before this can proceed.
so at this point, because we do not have it on our agenda to take action specifically, we're just going to take all of this information into account and go to the next item on the agenda, if that pleases the council.
Yes.
So the next one is reference to 408 Lockhart Street. If is this related to the Talk with the Leaves establishment?
Yes.
All right.
And do we have representation here?
No, thanks, guys. I forgot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm not really sure what's up for consideration at this point.
And I'm not seeing their application.
My recommendation is, because this has not been formally published in the paper, that unless there's a member of the community that wants to specifically comment on that item, we can table it for the follow-on public hearing.
Can I ask a question about it though?
Sure.
So it's zoned, mixed use there. Was there something about mixed use versus commercial and driving lane?
Yes, and that's not up for discussion tonight.
We're talking about scenic corridor things.
So do we need a motion to table that particular item?
I make a motion that we, since we don't have the COA for the Taco Police, that we table this for another agenda item at a future meeting.
For the next public hearing?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to move on to reports. City Administrator, I wanted to.
What's that?
Dismiss what?
There's going on. And so you can either say, be quiet, or if you'd like to say.
All right, so
Okay.
this next agenda item.
I did want to make a comment.
Okay.
Yes, we do need the talking to quiet down, please. So moving on to the next item, which is the city administrator. At our meeting on the 8th, we had discussed the job descriptions, and we had decided to separate the one job into two jobs. So the reason that these both were included in your packet is so that you could see both job descriptions as they would have been posted, had they been posted separately. And there, I will give it to Jared.
Take it away.
Yeah. So the updated job descriptions includes that of the zoning administrator and economic development coordinator, which was previously discussed with council. The updated job duties are pulled, there's initial bullet that's a copy and paste from our code of ordinances regarding administering and enforcing the provisions of the zoning code, serving as a non-voting ex officio member and secretary of the zoning commission and board of adjustment, reviewing, coordinating staff activities relating to zoning variance requests, specific use permits, rezoning requests, and special exemptions. And then the remaining bullets primarily deal with economic development coordination regarding development agreements and other such.
Do we have the ability to post those on the screen?
Sure. Yeah.
Because then other people can see it.
Give me a second.
What we reviewed?
No, it wasn't.
What are we discussing with the job description?
Just the job description.
Okay.
Providing it as requested.
So it's really not a discussion.
Not unless city council wants to make changes later, and as articulated, the main feature of this discussion, I think, is for the building officials, since we've previously discussed
Well, that's
the zoning administrator.
right.
The zoning
We have
administrator.
an action item as far as approving Lee Russ.
Mhm.
But that's not until we,
Yeah, so
so what are we?
this report is
City's
is
report.
reporting out um, the job descriptions for both the zoning administrator and economic development coordinator being one position, and the building official being a separate position, so that city council members could compare the two to see how they relate, because that was an issue that was raised in
Right.
prior meetings.
I'd like,
I did have a comment. So on this one that we did with Lisa's, it's still saying a 30-day probationary period.
Yeah, that's
And
going to be
that's
updated.
fast.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
going to be-
What's typical policy of the city?
It's 6 months.
In the past, we've always gone with 6 months.
Yeah.
Do we have a policy that would be put into a personnel file?
Yes.
So
It's right here on the,
there are variations, as the mayor had done some research and pointed out to me. There are variations in the employee guidelines, manual, handbook, policies, personnel policies. However, they were consistent from one version to the next regarding that 6-month probationary period. So my understanding was incomplete when it came to the issue of whether a personnel policy existed on this particular issue. I understood it to be that it was open for negotiation under the direction of the mayor. I've coordinated that with the particular employee, Lisa, and we're adjusting that to be 6 months.
And if I may just say, when I read that for the first time, my first question was, is that per policy?
Yeah.
In other words, if that's per policy, okay.
The next item I want to focus on is the build. Okay.
Real quick question on this. It says evaluates.
Where are you?
The page right here, duties,
is
under
it for
duties.
the zoning or for
This
the
is for
building?
legal position.
Okay.
This is duties. Down here, it says evaluates environmental information, including floodplain.
Yep.
So is she eventually going to be a floodplain administrator? Is that?
Potentially.
So
So,
have to have courses and.
right. If she gets certification, then my expectation is that she would act as a floodplain administrator. However, floodplain issues are not related only to being a certified floodplain manager. Floodplain issues are frequently a concern with any development that we have. So when we discuss economic development or development agreements and proposed development projects, as the city council knows, the flood information, the flood maps often have a significant role in those conversations and how that proposed development will take place and what considerations need to be taken into account, both in terms of base flood elevation or other mitigating, activities.
And unfortunately, most of our area in this area is in the floodplain.
Oh, yeah.
A lot is in the floodplain. So it's going to be a critical issue for development. With all this coming on board, we got to be extremely careful how we mitigate with the floodplain.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
I know we're not to that part yet, but we're asking about this, but does Mr. Rust have floodplain administrator experience?
I know that you've done environmentals and you've done
Yeah.
river studies. You want to talk to that?
Yeah, hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Lee Russ. And I am LID certified. That includes a section of that is riparian repairs, so bank erosion.
What's LID?
Low impact development.
Oh,
Yes, so I heard earlier about porous pavement regarding the new fire station, stuff like that, make recommendations on that. So answer your question, yes, sir.
So, and really,
Oh,
those duties
that's fine.
can
I'm going
be,
to.
I mean, and just to make my point is like, I
this
see.
is the scope of duties.
Yes, I see on here that there's a lot of like, cross duties,
Yeah.
which is a good thing and it's a benefit to the city because It's like, we have the expertise of,
Two people.
yes, and that's gonna be to an advantage of the city. So I'm totally good with the way that it is.
Yeah, I mean, that same bullet exists on both job descriptions.
Yeah.
As it relates,
Where's that on that document for the?
All right.
it's gonna be under duties, the fourth from the bottom,
For the building official?
building official, yeah. So it's,
Specify floodplain.
so it violates environmental information, including,
What page are we on?
It's actually, I guess, page 11. That- I believe they're
Under the
talking
building official.
a building.
What,
official.
honestly,
it's the same, my point is, the bullet is the exact same for both.
Gotcha.
It's on page 6 and it's on page 12,
So,
the descriptions.
so my question is, at what point are we gonna designate,
So
we're gonna
this
have to do
right
certifications of a floodplain administrator? Is there gonna be him or is it gonna be Lisa? That's my question. At that point, we probably should establish.
I don't know if that would necessarily relate to the job duties as described in the job description. That would be more of an administrative matter where one of them would be assigned. If the city council chooses to appoint a floodplain administrator, that'd be
I
fine.
don't,
We have a training budget, and as long as it doesn't conflict with any other training requirements that the city has, I'm okay with both of them becoming certified floodplain administrators. If that's what we choose, and then if the city council wants to take a specific action to nominate one as the floodplain administrator, all power to you. I'm open to that.
and I'm good with, with both of them, building and just, advancing, learning everything that they can, the training that they can within the budget of the city, and just, I don't think, we don't even have to appoint someone. It could be like, hey, we're working together, we're doing this together. Or like you said, you could say, hey, could you help me with this? But I don't think that, we have to appoint anyone as.
It says, yeah, you do.
Yeah, according to
Well,
the ordinance, we
official
have
is
to
appointed by
appoint.
the city council.
Yeah.
No, but she's talking specifically to the floodplain.
Yes.
Oh,
No, I
that's
don't think
what
that
I-
one
yes.
needs to be.
Yeah.
So that's what I was, yeah.
Well, I don't know, it has been before.
I don't know,
I think somebody just needs to be trained to it.
typically most cities have a floodplain, somebody responsible for floodplain administrator or whatever. I mean, I thought that would be confusing to have both descriptions for each one.
Well, both of them having the training would benefit the city because there's two different issues at hand. One of them is the relations to building permits. Can I build this thing in this location? The other is probably more of a pre-build permit application process relating to a proposed development agreement or even a conceptual land use plan. Having experience on, or having both of those individuals, the person who's reviewing building permits, the person who's managing economic development coordination, having both of them knowledgeable about floodplain management issues, I think is a worthwhile investment as long as it doesn't create conflicts with the training budget. There's, for example, if we wanted to send our city secretary to become a certified city secretary, and that requires a certain amount of budget. And there's other certifications that other staff members need to get for their job and continuing education. We may not have the budget to get both of them certified, in which case only one of them would complete that training at the city's expense, but
There's
we can
some,
accommodate both. I don't see no reason why we wouldn't.
there's some tools that the county now has that, like Eagle's Nest, that I went to view at the appraisal district last week. It's really an awesome program. It's, and they're
Eagle
offering
View?
it to us free.
Eagle View?
Eagle, I said Nest.
You
didn't I?
said Eagle's
Eagle
Nest.
View. Eagle View is the name of it. So,
You might be able to see Eagles.
We're gonna be,
so it's a tool that they're going to be able to use that's going to be really
Yeah.
helpful. And the county also, whenever there's a flood, they're over here so fast. and they're shutting down the access to the river and stuff. So I think we're really coming a long ways.
Question?
On page 5 and page 11, if you look at the job description and position for the zoning administrator, it's different, but for the building code, it's the same. So the job description says zoning administrator and economic development coordinator, and position is director. Is that a mistake, or is that going to be her position? Where the building official, the job description also is the position.
Oh, at the top of the page. I see.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an administrative error. That didn't make the change.
Also, if you look in the same area on both pages, the FLSA designation, one is exempt and one is unexempt. So that means one gets overtime and the other one does not.
That's something I'll have to consult with Kent about, probably outside of this meeting, regarding those designations. When this position was initially described, they had a certain managerial responsibilities, which would exempt them from the Fair Labor Standards Act, whereas the building official, as I was going through that particular job description, would not. That would be more of your typical hourly, salaried based position. Now, in both cases,
They're gonna be cross, I think they ought to be the same.
Mhm.
They're gonna be doing
they likely
basically the
they likely
same
need to
stuff.
be the same, but I want to,
Yeah, okay.
because the zoning administrator and the economic development coordinator takes on a more significant role in representing the city and with negotiations with potential developers and other things, some of that nature of that position could have bearing on that status potentially. I'm by no means a
Okay.
labor expert, but I think that's a potential.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Since we're talking about building official and building zoning administrator and everything, let's go ahead and do B first. Regarding the job duties of the building official, we've already talked about. And at this point, I would like to appoint Lee Rust as the building official. And that needs the city council approval.
I make a motion that we appoint Lee Russ as the building official for the city of Martindale.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Well, can he tell us about himself and his experience? I mean, I'd like to hear from Lee and, you know.
Thank you, thank you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, come on up.
So Mayor and Council, good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. I think tonight was a good example on if this position, if the city had the position prior to tonight, that individual could be used to mitigate a lot of the concerns, to speed up the process, make, with the goal of making, doing what it takes. It's a small community. We all wear a lot of different hats.
So long, yeah.
So, with that, that's kind of my takeaway on it. My personal experience in code enforcement, building planning goes back 15 and a half years. I am heavy on the environmental side. I'm an arborist. So that's where the low impact development comes in. And when I heard Mr. Garcia talking about trees, I'm like, thumbs up. At least he's, he cares about, the runoff that, is always a potential issue. So I'm available for any questions you might have.
You had run for city council in Luling. I remember seeing some signs up. How did that look?
I actually am a volunteer. I actually am a city council member for Ward 2 in Luling. As a volunteer. So
You were appointed?
No, I actually won.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Thank you.
But we are volunteers.
We are.
Oh, yes. So you do have experience with, dealing with the city.
Yes.
So what other, I mean, so have you had, building officials?
Commercial, yes, so commercial and residential, everything from the NEC, National Electrical Code, to plumbing, to charters for the city, as you guys have, and the processes and the variance requests that are sometimes provided to residents, what permit to fill out and when to fill it out.
Mhm.
And somebody to walk them through that process, or, assist the city.
Okay, okay.
What about code enforcement within the city limits, say dilapidated structures, abandoned vehicles, ordinances? Well, I mean, you'll have to become familiar with our ordinances, but what do you feel about that?
Yes, sir. Great question. And when I first started researching it and visiting with Jared, that's the first place I went, was to see, what specific codes the city had in place. I think the bigger thing is how that's representative to the resident that has that issue. I would assume that city council doesn't want someone that's just gonna show up and say, hey, here's your ticket, or, et cetera.
Right.
Let's work with that resident
Yes.
and give them some options, not just say, no, sorry, you can't do that. Give them the options that you guys have laid out. Your ordinances on AM legal are very straightforward. The website, lays out the different permits and the process on the website. It's great. So I hope that answered your.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Well, I mean, what other cities besides Luling have you worked for? I mean, you're just an elected official there. right?
Yeah. So, I'll be 46 this year. And,
You're
so
a
my side of things has been everything at the state level and at the federal level, whether it's for the Department of Interior's Bureau of Land Management.
So where have
and
you worked
working with-
before?
Projects wise, easy, everywhere from Sugar Land to Austin to Buda, all the
So
way
are you
to.
like a builder or?
No, contractor.
Contract.
Yep.
So big in
So,
construction, mainly
whether that's
residents?
commercial, yes,
Residents
ma'am.
and commercial. Okay,
Yes,
good.
ma'am, whether that was residential or commercial.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So, I've kind of been all over. I've got to see, Washington State, Wyoming, Colorado,
So you
Oklahoma.
have your own business?
I did.
Oh,
Yes, ma'am.
you did,
I did.
okay.
I did.
All right.
45, I decided to retire.
Okay. Nice.
I didn't mean it like that.
Thank
Not
you.
retired anymore,
That's it.
if we approve you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your consideration.
Well, thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and we'll go ahead and take a vote. Mike McLeod, how do you vote?
All right.
Sam Clinton, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Sonia already seconded, and you seconded. So the motion carries. Okay, we have one more item of business on appointing Adrian Flores as the interim city clerk. And so yesterday was Sylvia's last day, and Adrian has graciously agreed to become our interim city clerk. And I don't know if our judge, yes, he is. Our judge is still here.
That's a breathing.
Yes, we do. So I need
I
a,
make a motion to appoint Adrian Flores as the interim city clerk for the city of Martindale.
I second.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion?
Effective.
Oh, effective today.
Today,
Effective
3/22.
8 hours ago. Okay, Mike McLeod,
Yes.
how do you vote?
Yes.
Sam Clinton, how do you
Yes.
vote? And this motion now carries. And Judge Booth? Judge?
Yay, Adrian.
Okay,
Hello,
so
sorry.
Adrian,
Chat.
Adrian, let me take your picture while you're doing.
Right.
Give me your camera.
Where's your coat shot, dude? I've got time, but I think it's too much.
Look at our city manager, and look
It's
at our
never,
attorney, man.
it's
They're all
never too
dressed up.
much. It's never too much.
Hold on real quick.
Oh, look, there you go.
Hey, we're gonna dock your pay. Lawyer. Dock you 10 minutes. No coat on.
This is called.
Looking good.
Yeah. He's got it.
Hey, when he started this job, he was.
Hey, it fits him too. What is a 40 long?
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, it wasn't 44, it's down to 42.
There you go.
Gossip.
The tie, I'm kidding.
No,
You
All
clip-
right, yeah, we'll each.
Where is it?
Adrian,
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. Adrian. Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Adrian Flores,
I, Adrian Flores,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
interim city clerk for the city of Martin
interim city clerk for the city of Morgantown
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve,
and will, to the best of my ability, preserve,
protect, and defend
protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Oh.
I'm a bear talking.
Good look for you though. That's with the blue jeans and
Dress code, dress code.
Maybe the mayor should be in the picture.
Get in there, man.
Yeah, come on, Mayor.
Okay, Judge, could you shake his hand one more time?
Oh,
Smile.
Mothering that poor child.
He's trying.
Thank you so much.
I got video too.
I know you're gonna do it well.
Hey. Thank you.
You saw that from the crowd. All right.
I think he's in a notary. Are you a notary also?
No, man.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna stamp it with a court stamp and then, well, you mean for purposes of this?
Yeah, does it have to have a notary?
Well, no, I stand in the place of a notary.
Okay, good.
It'll be a notary or somebody authorized to administer the oath. But yeah, no, I'm gonna stamp it and it'll be official.
You can have,
Okay,
you
thank
can
you.
have Steve Fonville.
Oh.
No, he covered it.
Oh, he-
As a judge, he can do that.
Come here.
Oh, man.
Okay. So we have future items, and I think the main thing for future items would be setting the next meeting. And what do we want to do for that? Do we want to say next Tuesday? Because there's some things that we do have to go
Or do
over.
it Friday.
let's, so what's the? Do you happen to have
11 days.
the information that was published in the newspaper?
I can look what was sent on the
Yeah.
service email.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
It's supposed to be posted 11 days prior to.
So yeah, at that meeting, we'd want to readdress the emergency services district and the food establishment at 1008 Northwest River Road. However, as Councilmember Bill Lobos pointed out, some of that might be overcome by events if those applications were received. We can always still take the action to accept them. Just so you have,
Just going through.
have like an endorsement, but it would,
I thought they.
may not have an effect on the ability to
Right.
not approve it, for example.
I mean, is a
Depending on what the dates
business
are.
like stopped for both establishments?
It was
Because of
because of
this?
the newspaper. Is that what you're talking about, is the newspaper?
Oh,
No business has been stopped.
oh,
I mean, he's been waiting to proceed with his project until this.
right.
So in that sense, yes, but for are you talking about the 408 Lockhart Street food establishment?
We hadn't done that.
No, they haven't been stopped at all. They're still in business.
Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah.
still operating.
Yeah, but yeah, the fire department and the
So-
food,
Yeah,
what are y'all gonna be called? Do you know yet?
Garcia's Grill Yard. So
Grill yard? Oh,
they've been waiting on the certificate of appropriateness before they could take the next act.
oh, okay, okay.
How can it not go wrong? Martin is in Martindale, right? Hey, I have an agenda item.
Yes.
I would like to add Latrice Cook to the next agenda item, so we're able to ask questions as a council and possibly have Ms. Cook here so we could have dialect and discussion with her.
Did we decide a date yet? Did I miss that?
No.
They're still trying to figure it out.
That can kind of be taken care of with the city staff.
What's the question? I may have it.
I think,
But it needs to become, we need to find out if we need to approve, if somebody needs some special funding, right?
That could be done just during the office.
I think from what I heard, what she
But I
said,
think it
it's
does
already
need to
gone,
be- I think it
she's
still
already
needs to
gone
go
through
in
the
front
city.
of council.
So I don't want to
We'll have to check.
break into this too far.
Huh?
But there's been an ongoing investigation that I've been conducting in coordination with the mayor
Oh, okay.
regarding the issues that were raised this evening. I hope to have progress made on that very soon. I don't know if we're going to have that resolved by whenever this next meeting is.
What kind of investigation is that?
So-
I need to ask a question. Is that, when you say investigation?
Well,
Well,
we
we can't
cannot,
set
we
the
cannot
dates.
talk about it because it's not on the agenda.
It's
So
a-
we need,
but
we're just
It's
putting
gonna have
it,
to be a future item.
it's a future agenda item.
So she would have submitted it on,
Yeah.
Okay, so
Figure out
we
the
will,
date
we
of the
will let
next
the
meeting.
council, we'll have to let the,
Let the
we need to
council
do
know
some
when.
investigation.
This next meeting, we're working to discover when the public hearing was published in the newspaper. There's some confusion on which newspaper it's going to be published in, because there's two newspapers of record. We were possibly be able to submit into San Marcos, the San Marcos Record sooner, so we could schedule a meeting sooner. We'll schedule that meeting. At that meeting, I think, yes, the two certificates of appropriateness, if they're still in a, in a state where they need to be approved, we can add those. The other item, the 408 Lockhart Street, that will be, I believe, based off prior city council discussions with Kent, that was going to be a board of adjustments relating to their request for a drive-through within mixed use. Separate from that, if you want to hold a regular city council meeting, that's
Just
fine.
let us know.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, we'll let you know within the next
Yeah,
24
whatever.
I want
hours.
to put something on the agenda that's extremely important. April 11th, TCEQ is having their Zoom call. And I think, and I don't, you guys don't get probably mad at me, because we all need to be here as a
you know, the
council,
time?
as a,
That's the 27th.
it's
That's,
the 4th, it's the 11th,
oh, okay.
April 11th.
Do you know the time?
I can let you know.
Can you email?
I have it.
Okay, you have it, but let me finish.
You're not on the city council.
This permit is extremely important for our town and for our river. And I want the city council here with all members to tell the TCEQ, we want the minimum of 5521.
Right.
And I think it'd be better coming from a council in our chambers than as an individual on Zoom. And to continue on that, we need to get together for our comment section to give comments to TCEQ of our issues in case it goes to a contested case, and maybe we could review that
Okay.
prior to that meeting.
Okay, just send us an email that we need to be, okay?
I desire to
I
recognize
just need to
Miss,
say, based on what Mike said, at the last River Authority meeting,
yes,
it was mentioned that the
the meeting was gonna be on Zoom and that they were trying to get as many people on Zoom so they could see how many people were interested in it. So I understand being together as a council, so we might need to discuss that with Joy, because that's,
And, you know,
that was my understanding, because it's like, if they show that, you know, there's 300 people, they're gonna take it seriously.
also, while you address that, I think our River Advisory Committee to be here with us, since they advise us on river issues. This is an extremely important process, because if we don't do it right, the river will go to hell. I mean, this is what this town's all about, and this is the main reason I ran. And I want to make sure we protect our environment, and I think if we come as a force, and the advantage we have is we're a government entity, the city of Martindale, and we need to tell TCQ and the Walton Group that we're serious about this, and if they don't do it, we'll see you in court.
Hey, Dorothy Jo, thank you for your comments. I
Mayor,
really do
Wait,
appreciate-
can I just
Sure.
ask her real quick? I mean,
Yeah.
you're saying that it would be more effective if individuals themselves were
Yeah.
on Zoom as opposed to a group?
This is the way that I understood it. Let's get a confirmation from Joy. Or actually, there is another person there. But it would
Okay.
confuse me as well, because I was thinking it was gonna be a public forum, but it's not. It is a Zoom meeting. TCQ will be not here.
Okay, and we have to stop
Okay.
because we're starting to
Okay,
deliberate
Okay,
on
sorry,
this.
thank you.
So I just wanted to mention on Thursday night, we have the information meeting on the grant. And so our city engineer will be here to answer questions. And also the grant people will be here, I believe. And Saturday is really, really important. We're gonna have the meet and greet with our three
Applicants for
Boy.
chief of police.
chief of police from 2 to 5 at, I always say the burger barn. I mean, the feed barn, at the feed barn
Yeah,
In
in
the
the
back.
conference center
in the conference center.
where they do karaoke.
And we're gonna have refreshments.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
respectfully, I'm gonna ask you, that because the way that it was brought up, I don't want to do discussion or anything about it. But whenever I asked for an agenda item and you stated, or it was stated that there was an investigation, Latrice wanted to make a comment and then she was shut down. But like whenever you say there's an investigation, we're on Zoom, there's people in the audience, it makes it seem like there
And this
was
is
a,
public hearing.
yeah, that
Yeah.
something, you
I've
know,
forgotten
so.
About that.
No, yeah, I've written it down on here.
About.
I just want to make sure that it's on record.
Okay.
We just,
And may I have a motion to adjourn?
Real quick, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
So we'll get the date scheduled for those other items. I would like to hold a workshop in the very near future, whether it coincides with that item or not, relating to the circumstances the city is in regarding the development agreement applications that the city has received. There are some very significant decisions the city council will need to make. I'd like to discuss those in a workshop setting if we could. And now might be the best opportunity to get availability from the council members on when they would like to schedule that workshop. We could do it on a weeknight. On the weekend, we probably need about 2.5 hours to discuss that item.
And when should we have that workshop?
I would like to have it within the next 2 weeks if possible.
Well, it can't be this Saturday.
Not this Saturday.
So on next Tuesday is when I'm scheduled.
Is this a special meeting?
In the
We
afternoon.
lack a quorum,
I'm sorry?
no, we don't.
No, we've got a quorum.
not a special meeting,
Oh, there's only, well, there's three of us. That's a quorum.
Where do you
Mike?
go?
not a special meeting.
Can you go?
Don't.
Sir, please, sir.
Maybe tell Mike to get back in here.
Hi.
We gotta go. We gotta go. I'm sorry. I'm getting arrested. Sorry about that. Don't arrest me. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot.
So I just want to See,
Always have
Mike
to ask
McLeod.
permission if you want to leave city council.
We've got a quorum now.
sorry about that. Do we want to hold, we could look at Thursday, the 31st, that Saturday, April 2nd, sometime that week of the 28th. Whether we hold it the night of the 29th, if that's what was published along with these other items. Just concerned about time. What's the availability of city council for something like that?
I would say a weeknight.
The
Mhm.
29th, if we just had a really short city council meeting and then went into a workshop, I think that would work.
I'm good with that.
So if we
Okay.
can
Next Tuesday,
We can
that's a week from
approve
now.
CVAs if we can, and then do workshop.
That's the question.
That's, we'll still have to hold a public hearing.
Oh,
And so that, those,
so let us know about that. We already said that.
I'll look to see, there might be an opportunity. Well,
Okay.
When Sylvia left, she said we could meet on the 29th.
Sorry.
yeah, let's pencil it in for that evening, the 29th.
Is it-
We may not have,
You count weekends?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
if, we'll be prepared to the extent that we can be for that conversation at that time. My hope was to maybe get some outside experts in, but we'll try to get a data download from them. And be able
Do you want to move it?
No, I want to keep it the 29th because this is somewhat time critical, so.
Okay. Well, you know. you
So
can
for sure it'll be a workshop.
Workshop.
Send us all an email, say, is everybody available this day? Take the time to think.
but if we're doing the 29th, right, we're good.
That's right there.
Okay.
That's.
I make a motion that we adjourn at
I second.
9:03.
Thank you for saying the time. 9:03, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mike, second.
Goes to the runner.
You're the 10.
All in favor, please say aye.
Hey, that's my river.